Hello, Prudential Sales Executives, for our video message of the week. All right, if you saw last week's video, we talked about effectively pricing a property for sale. And I've received emails and questions on a couple of the points. And the main one that I had questions on is, Mark, you talked about, how do we get across these key points of what's going on in the market, but stay on the side of the seller, not the side of the market? So we love the concept of staying on the side of the seller, but sometimes when we share the true facts of what's going on, we tend to move away from the seller. All right, so I'm going to give you an analogy, an example of how this works, so you make sure as you're sharing facts of record, you stay on the side of the seller. Let's get started. First of all, it ties to the concept, and I mentioned this in last week's video as well, is empathy. I want to take you to bizarro world for a second. What I mean by that is real estate doesn't actually work like this, but I want you to have this understanding because it'll help you connect to that empathy. If you had two identical properties next door to each other, identical models, and in one model, let's call it Model A, it had $150,000 worth of upgrades. Model B, same house, but plain Jane. Very clean, very nice property, well kept, but just plain Jane. If we were in bizarro world, doesn't it make sense that seller A should earn approximately $150,000 more for their property when they go to sell it? I mean, they can prove they have receipts and everything. Now I know I can hear you what you're saying. You're saying, well, real estate doesn't work like that, Mark. They put those upgrades in for themselves. So they enjoyed it while they lived there, and when they go to sell it, yes, it will help the property sell quicker, but it won't add value to that property based on the cost of those upgrades. I totally agree. However, we're talking about perception here, and we're talking about empathy, and we're talking about understanding that those upgrades to window coverings, floor coverings, could have been things, upgrades to the backyard, to the front yard, incredible lawn that you see in the front. What you don't know is they did it by hand. They didn't even hire someone to do it. They are really connected to this home. And so based on that understanding, that empathy lets you know that though real estate doesn't work that way, I certainly can understand why a seller would feel they should get more for the property in the upgrades that they put into that. So the way you get that across is talk about it, and talk about it with passion. Let them know that you understand, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, what's unfair is an appraiser's going to come into this home and not give you the value, that you deserve for the upgrades from window coverings, floor coverings, maybe it's tile, whatever the case may be cabinets, whatever they upgraded, an appraiser's not going to give you that credit, and it's not fair. It is the way that it works, though. All right. What's really frustrating to me is they'll compare us to properties that, yes, are the same type of home, maybe even the same model, but boy, there has been different investments into that home. That's coming from you, not them. And when they hear you talk along those lines, that they really see that you understand, they are now pulled closer to you. It doesn't change what the market is. It doesn't change where you have to price it. What it does is it changes their attitude towards you and that you get it. You're still the professional and you still have to share with them the truth of what's going on. But you understand that piece, that you know what, this is how it works, but I understand the dollars and the commitment and the emotional tie to that particular property. I promise you, if you start with that thought process and go in with that empathy and that understanding that, if it was my home and I put in all those upgrades, it makes sense that I would think and I would want to get more out of that property as well. Hopefully that helps. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.